Welcome everybody to this afternoon session on using technology to move the needle on employee engagement. My name is Jim Everidge. I'm with Rapid Learning Deployment. We're a systems integrator in the learning and technology space, and we helped Sally Beauty come live on their Saba platform, which they are today using to move the needle on employee engagement. Yvette Birlew is Director of Learning and Development for Sally. She's been there for 12 years, has a great passion for learning. And Yvette comes from the telecom industry, but has been in the beauty and retail industry for 12 years. You know, I told her that she's really moving from the frying pan to the fire with retail because of all the changes that are happening in retail today. You know, you can sit at home and order anything you want, any color, size, shape, quantity, and have it delivered to your house in 3 days or 2 days or 1 day, or we know the trajectory. It's going to be 30 or 45 minutes in a number of years. So why would you get out and go to retail? Well, you're going to do that because the retail associates are knowledgeable about their product, they're engaged with their job, they want to know about the customer, and they want to help them with their problem. And so when you've got that, people will go out and continue to shop. Okay, so Yvette, you want to come share your story about how you're developing people?
Thanks, Jim. I'd like to start by telling you guys a little bit about who Sally is. We're a company established in 1964. We today operate in 13 countries. We are the largest beauty distributor in the world, and we serve both the retail and the wholesale operations. About 3 years ago, we began a true cultural transformation, and we asked ourselves, who is it that we are today, and who is it that we want to be in the future? And these are our 6 core cultural values that we arrived at. We wanted to make sure that we put the customer first, that we act as one, that we're accountable, we're innovators, we have a bias for action, and we're talent builders. But historically, talent building wasn't something that Sally had been very good at. And so this was a real challenge for us in L&D to begin this transformation. It's also important to know a little bit about DFW in the area if you don't. We have an enormous amount of competition for talent in our area. This is just a sampling of some of the companies that are either based in Dallas or have a large corporate presence. And even last week, I read that Boeing is adding a new division to our area that will house about 2,100 people to support their global supply. So the competition in Dallas-Fort Worth is not getting easier to compete for good talent. So development is very important. We've all talked a lot about the millennials, and it's important to know that we're focused on the millennials as well. We know they're going to be the majority of our workforce. We know they're entering leadership roles sooner than ever before, and that this is a generation that has grown up with personal development, both in sports and academics. They're great with technology. And we also know that this generation, the best way to create loyalty to our organization is to personally invest in them. And so we set out to accomplish all of these things in that landscape. Now, historically, L&D in the Sally Beauty Company only supported field training. So our corporate office had very little development. We had a small ILT offering that was available to leadership, but that was about it in the corporate office. We didn't have an LMS, and if we did, we had no content ready to deploy. And we also knew that we had some IT limitations internally that would limit us from reaching our full audience right out of the box. Also in our corporate experience, we had an underdeveloped onboarding program that we're rectifying, and there were no L&D ties to performance management. So that's a lot. It's a lot of challenges. And so I remind myself daily that we just can't boil the ocean, so we have to take this on one piece at a time. So when I assumed the role of Director of Training, Director of Learning and Development for Sally, we had a couple things already decided. We knew that we were going to go with Saba, which is a world-class LMS offering. And we also knew that on our team, we did not have experience in deploying this technology. And so through some great networking, we found rapidLD. And so with Saba, with rapidLD, and with a small but very dedicated team, we set out on that mission of launching our LMS in a way that would be engaging and meaningful to our associates. And so Jim's going to tell you a little bit about that implementation process.
At rapidLD, we're focused on excellence in implementation, and we have spent many years developing a process and a methodology for doing just that. And when you look at this slide, most people will be a little confused because it seems to read from right to left. You know, you start your scope and you do some planning and configuration, but what we do is we start with the end in mind. So we actually start at the left side of this slide. So we're focused on, you know, what are you trying to accomplish? What are the business objectives that you need to have? And then we use that to develop the scope, and then we go back through the process. And there are a couple of things that I think are important. One is from a scope perspective, we really try to make these projects as small as possible. And in fact, Yvette, we did that really on your project, where we made the scope small so that we could get some of the harder things accomplished, like people data integration. We spend a lot of time in planning. And that's real important because with planning, you really identify all the resources that you need and all the tough tasks that are in front of you, and you get a good idea of what the lag time, what the long pole intent's going to be. And so we spend a lot of time on planning. A lot of people go straight to trying to configure the system, and we tend to pause and do a lot of work there. We do system configuration, and I'm a big fan of the 80% rule, which means you only configure the system about 80%, and then you let people start using it. That way you get some quick feedback and you can adjust and continue to adjust as you refine the configurations and get to some final endpoint. We like to do pilots. We're bringing people in a situation that they would be using the system in, and we find that also helps us identify things that need to be changed, and even then we get to go live. A couple other things I encourage people to think about. Benchmarking is one. Sava's a great company. They have over 2,000 customers. You certainly can find someone that looks a lot like you in the same vertical, the same number of employees, and you can talk to them about their lessons learned so that you can find things out before you discover them yourselves. And then the last thing is really content development. Most people are really underprepared for having relevant content in their system, and they really need to focus on that early on so that they can, because there's a long development cycle to make content work. And at that point, you're really ready to begin execution once you understand all these pieces. We've got a lot of experience in retail. We've got close to 50 retail customers. We've learned a lot in the process. You know, some of the things that we find in retail, you know, one of the most important things is that most retail organizations like to push training to a specific profile. We find that most customers can't get that profile because they don't have access to the people data and the characteristics about the person, the job they have, the location that they have. So creating a push strategy around content doesn't work unless you solve that profile problem. Bandwidth is also an issue. Point of sale has always dominated the available bandwidth, and whenever there's a disagreement or argument between the two, point of sale is always going to win because that's what's driving the business. So you've got to be able to take that into account. Sally's really in a great position today because I've just finished a 2.5-year project to roll out iPads and better bandwidth at all of the store locations, and that project's now finished. So they've got a rich asset in the ability to play back content on those iPads. You know, another issue that retail faces is just getting the managers to embrace the concept of training time on the job. Most managers really want people working on the job, not training on the job, and they kind of fail to realize the relationship between training and their ability to do the job. So getting managers bought into the process is an important part of the change management. Communication's an issue. Having email addresses to employees. Most companies don't have a corporate email address for hourly people where there's a lot of turnover. And then getting their actual email address that's current. You know, I have a 19-year-old daughter who changes email addresses like she changes clothes every day. I don't really know what she's doing with all that, but that's the type of problem that retailers are faced with, particularly with millennials. And the last thing is data views. It's complicated because you know, one owner for one store is pretty easy to give the owner a report about the store, but an owner that owns 2 or 3 stores, particularly if they're not in the same geography, becomes more difficult. And then you've got multi-brand companies like Sally, where an owner might own 2 or 3 different brands, and then giving them reports about multiple stores and multiple brands is super hard. So you've got to be able to solve those problems. We've developed some methodologies for doing that. One of the biggest things that we started over 10 years ago is changing the workshop design. When you implement enterprise technology, what happens is typically in the very beginning is that there's some configuration workshops. Those workshops typically go 2, 3, 5, 10 days. It's just a grind, and there's so much for the customer to absorb. In our workshop design, we tend to break off small chunks, 2 and 4 hours at a time, let the customer kind of deal with these things over a multi-week timeline, and that allows them to kind of understand the impact of the decisions that they're making in these various areas. We also have done some very creative work around solving the data problem, particularly how things are configured and set up in the beginning, and trying to use alternate methods rather than database changes to create the structure that's necessary for reporting. And probably the last thing that we spend a lot of time on is user interface design, is reducing the number of clicks. We've got some customers that can only go through 2 or 3 clicks to get to launch a course from the time that a person logs into the system, as opposed to 10, 15, or 20 that they might do if they don't spend a lot of time on user interface design. So those are some of the things that we have done in supporting retail. We did some of those on the Sally project, and Yvette can kind of give us some more detail about how the project went. Yvette?
Thanks, Jim. Okay, so we decided to go with learning first. And we knew we didn't have the content Jim spoke of, so we partnered with lynda.com to get real engaging content. We also knew that we weren't going to remove all of the IT roadblocks before launch, and so our target audience included our corporate employees and our field multi-unit managers, and we set that launch date for February 20th. We also knew that because we were working so hard on this cultural transformation, that engagement was going to be key. And we had to do things to drive the engagement of the folks who had not received a whole lot of development over the years. And that all begins in our corporate environment. They say think outside of the box. We didn't even have a box to think outside of. We were really starting from scratch. And so we focused heavily on branding and marketing. We chose the name Thrive because it spoke to our learning objective. We want to help people grow and succeed and thrive. But it also spoke to our cultural value of becoming real talent builders. And to get everyone excited, we planned a sneak peek event. We invited everyone to attend. There were 6 identical sessions over one day. We asked people to give up 1 hour of their day. And to get them excited, we did a couple things. We used posters and a video trailer to create excitement. The posters went up on the wall. They said, what does it take to thrive? A question we wanted everyone asking themselves. And then they included the date and what was going to go on. Come experience a new way to grow, like Netflix for learning. And then there was a QR code in the corner. And when they scanned the QR code, we had a video trailer to get people excited.
A wise man once said, "The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice." We learn because it builds who we are, who we become, what we achieve. We have the gift, we have the choice, and now we have the tool. Thrive. Thrive is a new platform for learning unlike anything that's been available for Sally Beauty Holdings before. It's cloud-based learning on demand at our convenience. Thrive will allow us to build new skills around our schedule. We can start a course and stop it at any time and pick it back up where we left off. Thrive will also provide an easy way to browse available instructor-led training and self-register for classes. Thrive has been developed specifically for SBH employees to allow us to have a self-directed learning path and to give us and our managers the tools to help us meet performance goals. Through partnership with lynda.com, we get top quality courses taught by recognized industry experts, including courses that have been pre-selected to provide training specific to our can-do values. We choose to learn, to put our customers first, to be accountable, to have a bias for action, to act as one, to innovate, and to build talent, both in ourselves and others. With high-quality learning at our fingertips, we will be able to succeed, to grow, to thrive.
All right, so inspiring, right? That was the idea. And at that sneak peek session, we also had people tell us in feedback through survey, what is it you want to learn most? What's the thing that's going to help you excel at what you do today and prepare you for tomorrow? And we made the commitment to them that those would be the things that we delivered at launch. And so we chose 306 Linda courses specific to the things that people requested at the sneak peek. And we categorized those in these generic categories of leadership, business, software, personal development. And then we also categorized them in the SABA platform by our cultural values so that we could link directly back to those things that we are now measured on in our performance management process. So as a part of this cultural evolution, we began a new performance management process last fall, and we wanted this to link directly into that, so all of our L&D initiatives were together. And then we also, when launch time came, decided it was time to have a little fun, and we created another video. And this time, our purpose was to answer questions and to get people excited and maybe have a little laugh.
Oh, hi. I know, you've been on the edge of your seat asking yourself, what's going on with that incredibly cool new learning platform, Thrive, we heard about last year? Well, I'm glad you asked. We had a great pre-holiday sneak peek at the support center back in November. Special thanks to the 228 people who came out to take a look, have a cookie, and share your feedback. Since then, don't worry, the Thrive team's been hard at work preparing the site, getting everything ready for launch. I'm betting you've got a lot of questions. That's why I'm going to answer the top 10 questions about Thrive. Can we have some dramatic question answering music? Question number 1, what is Thrive? Okay, are you serious? Are you kidding me? For those of you who may be new to the company, have been living under a rock, or just have really short attention spans, I can't, it's jerks, man. Thrive is our new on-demand learning platform coming soon to your computer. Question number 2, how soon is soon? Thrive will launch on Monday, February 20th. Question number 3, how do I get there? You will have a new Thrive desktop icon on your work computer, or you can type thrive.sabacloud.com in any web browser. Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, even Safari, doesn't matter. You'll get more details on how to access the site on launch day. Question number 4, are there any carpentry courses? Absolutely not. There will be no courses on carpentry, Mayan archaeology, salsa dancing, French poetry, scuba diving, or defending yourself from cats. However, there will be over 300 courses on leadership, business, management, software, and personal development. We're talking literally hundreds of hours of content to help you succeed, grow, and thrive at your job and in life. Question number 5. That sounds like a lot of content. Can I just come to work and thrive all day? No. Question number 6. Do I have to be a manager to take management courses? I like that question. No. The majority of management and leadership courses will be available for everybody. With Thrive, we believe strongly in growing future leaders. Question number 7. What can I expect on launch day? You can expect your life to be changed forever. On Monday, February 20th, Thrive will be open for business. You'll receive an email with your login instructions so you can start thriving immediately if you want, and you'll automatically be enrolled in your first course, Introduction to Thrive. Question number 8, will we be doing anything exciting on launch week? Hang on, let me just check and see. Of course! We're gonna have special things going on throughout the week. A Thrive profile picture contest, Thrive Lunch and Learns at the Denton Support Center. We can learn and eat at the same time. There'll be a Go Green with Thrive Day with a fun photo booth and props. It's gonna be great. Who doesn't like a photo booth? Number 9, what if I have more questions? When you first log in, you'll already be enrolled in your first Thrive course, like I said, which will give you a great tour of the new site. Those of you in the support center, if you have other questions during launch week, talk to anybody wearing a Thrive shirt. We'll be wearing them all week. I recommend catching us no later than Wednesday. You can also email us at thrive@sallybeauty.com and be prepared for the greatest learning event ever. Question number 10. What's the launch date again? I was watching a kitty cat video. Our launch date is February 20th. This is the dawn of an exciting new era for our company. Years from now, your coworkers will be like, hey, remember back when we didn't have Thrive and we couldn't learn anything we wanted at any time? And you'll be like, no. It's because this is a company that believes in you. We are talent builders here, and this is a place where you can succeed and grow and thrive. You know what'd be awesome right now? How about, can we have like a cool 3D animated Thrive flying through the air or something like that?
All right. And so after the video was sent out for launch week, we planned an exciting week with lots of activities. And when everyone came into the office on Monday morning, they had a gift on their desk that included a pair of earbuds that would help them in their thriving, and also a little plant kit, which was in line with the idea of growing. And it's interesting, all the competitions we've seen around the building in growing those plants over the last couple months. We followed that with a profile picture contest, a lunch and learn, a Go Green with Thrive Day, and then Friday we announced all of the winners. And the excitement was palpable in the building. So you may wonder, what were the results? Well, knowing that we were doing something kind of extraordinary by launching with only voluntary content, we set our goals pretty low. We said to ourselves, you know, if 40% of our audience engages, logs in and gets started, that would be great in the first year. And if 20% of those people could complete at least one course, then we would be satisfied. That's not the result we got. In just 18 days, over 51% of our audience had logged in and began a course, and 23% had already completed that voluntary course. At the 2-month mark, we're now at 39% of completions in voluntary courses alone. So clearly there's a hunger in the organization for the learning that we've now provided. Just a sneak peek at what's next. Compliance training was launched this month. In June, we are launching our 90-day onboarding program. And in September, with the help of Jim and rapidLD, we're going to tie that new performance model into the SABA performance module and make sure that this year we're using that through our system so that when we know there's opportunities for growth, the system itself will serve back up the development opportunities that'll help meet those needs. And Jim's going to talk a little bit about how that integration is important.
Thank you, Yvette. We all heard of the term talent management, and I'm a bit of a Josh Burson groupie. He's been talking about this for 12 or 13 years, and if you notice in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide, you'll see that this graphic is actually dated 2008. So he's been at this for a long time, and he's really been a champion of integrated talent management. And in this particular diagram, you're going to see that there are actually connections between various modules. These are modules that were previously siloed in most organizations, and bringing all these together really represents integrated talent management, and doing it with a system that allows you to integrate all these components. And he speaks at length about all these different integrations, but you see the line between, for example, talent strategy and planning and sourcing and recruiting, that there's actually a linkage between those two, and there's some synergy that happens when you are using both of those work processes and a system to support them. And the key about using a system to do this is now you've got the ability to do analytics on an integrated fashion. How can you look at data together and give you better information than if they were siloed apart? A lot of different benefits, and if Sally were to go to multiple different modules, they'd recognize a lot of these. Things like the user interface is very similar, so that people don't have to relearn something. Administration on the back end is all the same type of approach to administration. Configurations are similar, so the decisions you make in one module will impact decisions you make in another. The delivery models. So Saba, for example, has a great mobile app, and that you can use many of these different modules in the same mobile app so people aren't learning a different tool. Probably my favorite on this list is maintenance and upgrades. That if you're on different applications, there'd be different cycles of upgrading and maintenance that you'd have to do, whereas now Saba does this for you for all the applications once a quarter. So there's a much simplified maintenance process. So there are a lot of different benefits of integration, particularly at the system level, and Saba really provides a lot of that, as you'll see in this particular graphic. Saba's core, going back to '97, is really all about learning, and that's what they've really done extremely well over the years. But over the last 10 or 12 years, they've begun to develop a suite of applications around talent, including recruiting, performance, career and succession planning, and compensation. Most recently, they came out with Pulse 360. And what a great tool to get a pulse on the employees and to be able to adapt and change the strategies that you've got in play with employees in all these different areas. And if you notice that learning to me is an anchor because it's on the left side of this graphic, and it does a lot of different capabilities. I believe Pulse 360 becomes another anchor to this entire platform. So those are the opportunities that are really available to Sally. And as they go forward, and you see that incorporating performance is their next step. I'm not sure what the next one will be after that, but there are plenty of opportunities for them to embrace and develop people and become true talent builders. So you see that Pulse 360 really becomes another anchor to this. This will allow Sally Beauty to really become true talent builders like they intend to do. Thanks for coming, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the conference.